What is up, everyone? Tony here, Positive Tech Reviews, recording from my Moto E. This is going to be like a semi-review where I'm actually using the device to actually film while I'm talking about it. So the Moto E, you can pick this up several different locations. Shout out to Jay Wills. He actually was able to get the Verizon version, which I thought wasn't possible, unlocked to work on any carrier basically. So you can get it to work on T-Mobile, and I will verify this within a couple of days. It does work on T-Mobile, but it is missing some bands. So connection, call quality, I couldn't tell you if it's going to be excellent quality or anything like that. But I would have to test it out and let you guys know, because here where I'm at in Cleveland, Ohio, I got the direct sunlight. The service is actually real good on T-Mobile. Excellent service. I got like 5 bars every time I go outdoors. When you go indoors, it's a little different. So I always connect to Wi-Fi, and this device right here has Wi-Fi calling. So it works real good indoors while you're connected to Wi-Fi. I have to test out the Verizon version indoors and get back to you guys on that. But so far, this one that I have right here from Metropcs, which is unlocked GSM only, I believe, is excellent. This phone handles everyday tasks, videos. You can see right here, I got the front-facing camera. It records in 1080p, 30 frames per second on the both cameras, on the front-facing camera, the rear camera. So the front, I've noticed just in my testing that the front seems to be, maybe it's because it's on a car mount, but I know it's because it's on the car mount, but it's real stable. Even when you hold it in your hand and your video recording, it's pretty stable. The rear camera, there's no optical image stabilization, so it is 8 megapixel camera, but they did a real good job with the camera. So the front facing 5 megapixel and the rear facing 8 megapixel camera do an excellent job on this phone. As far as everyday tasks, like the operating system, it's running stock Android, so it handles everyday tasks real good. I don't do heavy, intense gaming or anything like that, so I couldn't tell you on there. It does have the 427 processor, which is actually excellent. This is the latest 400 series processors that are out. We do have the 625, which has been out and is very battery efficient, but this 429 or 427, whichever one I have on here, this actually does real good. I've noticed very little lag, or no lag at all, actually, and it has to do with a bunch of things. If you consider this phone, it has to do with stock Android. Let me pull over right here. It has to do with using stock Android, which has very little bloat. It's like a pure skin. There's no skin on top of this version of Android, so it doesn't have to work as hard. So combining that with a good processor, 2 gigs of RAM, does a great job on the Moto E, and it performs like a boss. I have to tell you, I'm actually impressed. I think it's the best $49 that I spent on a mobile device. It does have a lot of cool features on here. You do have some of the Motorola gestures. You don't have them all. You don't have that twist to activate the camera. You do have double press of the power button to activate the camera. But in my usage using this phone, I've been using it every day on Metropcs. Metropcs is almost the same, if not the same, as T-Mobile. So getting my calls and text messages and everything works just like if it was on T-Mobile. And actually, I have the $30 a month plan. I think that's the smallest plan you can pick up. I actually picked that up just to get this device, and they actually increased the data. Now it's actually 2 gigs of data and unlimited calls and unlimited texts for $30. It used to be 1 gig. So, and shout out to Jay Wills. He actually was able to unlock his using some unlocking service from eBay, and seems to be working on T-Mobile. So I do want to say that maybe I was wrong. All I did was read that up on XDA as far as if it would work on T-Mobile or not. So if I gave some wrong information, I apologize. But it does seem to work on T-Mobile. I'd have to test that. Just because it works on T-Mobile doesn't mean that it'll work properly on T-Mobile. So you can get it activated on T-Mobile, drop a SIM card in, you may be able to get the calls, text messages, but how reliable will they be, considering that it doesn't have the correct bands? You're missing like band 12, you're missing some key bands, and I don't know how it would do indoors either. So my phone right here, actually, I don't know if Wi-Fi calling would work on the one from Verizon. So if it does work for Verizon, then you should be okay as far as receiving calls indoors. But if it does, if you don't have Wi-Fi calling using T-Mobile, indoors is a little bit like this phone right here. It does great indoors. It does have all the correct bands, so I don't have any issues. Even if I'm not connected to Wi-Fi indoors, I'll get all my calls, text messages, and it'll work fine. I always have like maybe 3 or 4 bars. That's indoors inside a building. So with the Verizon version not having the correct bands, I wouldn't know how it would be indoors or and data. But with that being said, I'll probably end up picking up the Verizon one from Walmart for $39, and then maybe I'll test that out indoors inside buildings, and I'll come back on a later video and tell you guys how it's working out for me as far as the Verizon version without having all the specific bands that you need to run on T-Mobile. But with that being said, this phone is actually, the Moto E4 is actually an excellent budget device. If you can pick it up, and you're not gonna have any kind of interference, or you're not gonna miss calls or text messages or anything like that. I still would recommend the one from Verizon if you have like AT&T or maybe a different carrier besides T-Mobile. If you have Cricket, for instance, it should be fine with Cricket. I do believe that the bands that it has for Cricket may work properly, or AT&T. But once again, for T-Mobile, I wouldn't be 100% sure until I test it myself. Especially, it's going to be area specific. So depending on where you live, it's going to depend on your network connectivity as far as the one with Verizon. But yeah, it's going to be it for this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.